It's Song Talk Radio.
Welcome to Song Talk Radio, the show with songwriters talking to other songwriters about the craft of songwriting. We share tips, tools, and techniques, and together we all become better at writing songs. I'm your host, Neil Modi, and with me, my co-host, Phil Emery. How you doing, Phil?
I'm doing well, and I am full of the seasonal cheer. Depending on what season you have to be celebrating, I'm part of that cheer. Well, I'm full of the cheer.
Sitting myself on a seasonal chair.
Seasonal chair, huh? See, that's just some of the quality humor you get here on Song Talk
That's right.
Radio.
Yeah, and then this is the first show we're doing together. We've been flying solo the last couple of weeks.
I know.
Just because of other things going on in the world and stuff. So good to see you, Phil.
Yeah,
and
barely recognize you.
Yeah. Things are different. And everyone else, please send in your comments and questions to Song Talk Radio on Facebook or Instagram, or feedback at songtalk.ca for the email, and we'll share your thoughts on the show. And please visit songtalk.ca to see the show post for this episode and to find links to resources we mention and to download lyric and chord sheets to follow along with the songs that we feature. Tonight, our guest is Portland, Oregon-based pop rock Americana band Glitterfox. Last week, Kill Rock Stars indie pop rock Americana recording artist Glitterfox have released their brilliant new single, It's Always Over, produced by Portland's own Chris Funk of the Decemberists. Love the Decemberists. Glitterfox, led by queer married couple Solange Igoa and Andrea Walker, were named one of Portland's best new bands by the Willamette Week in 2022 and came away from the Oregon Country Fair as one of the festival's most buzzed about new groups. The band is emerging as a band to watch in 2024 as audiences flock to their captivating live shows. The sky's the limit for Glitterfox. Welcome to Song Talk Radio, Solange and Andrea.
Hey, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Great to have you on the show, all the way from the West Coast. We're going from west to east. I'm based in Toronto. Phil's out there on the East Coast in Newfoundland, St. John's, and you guys are all the way on the west.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Our neighborhood is St. John's.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
true.
wow.
There's St. John's over here.
St. John's, Portland.
So it's kind of a small world. Yes, in fact, because I almost booked something in St. John's, Portland once. And then I went, oh, it doesn't say. Seems
far
weird.
from local.
Yeah, that's true.
Okie dokie. And we're going to get started tonight by listening to Glitterfox's new song, It's Always Over. And remember, the lyric sheet is available on the website, so everyone can follow along. Let's hit it, Phil.
I can't sleep at night anymore. There's a fire in my head and wolves at the door. I like the feeling of the midnight sun. If I sleep all day, I don't hurt anyone. It's always over before it begins. If I had it all, I would do it again. If I had it all, I would do it again. City is ours and she knows your name. But even if she didn't, I'd love you the same. But I get the fire that no one else knows. I wake up in the morning and the bed frame glows. It's always over before it begins. If I had it all, I would do it again. If I had it all, I would do it again. And the days wash away the rain, just like counting the streets on a page. I can't sleep at night anymore. Someone's stealing the car.
Awesome.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Great song.
Was this song done from like a live sort of jam, or was this was it sort of planned with that kind of crescendo?
You mean as far as the
The
recording?
arrangements? Yeah, the arrangements.
That's actually a live recording. So when we were in the studio, we tracked it live. So, the guitar, the drums, bass, that's all live. And then we went back and did some overdubs. And I think we did the vocal. We did
Kind
the
of
lead
recut the
vocal.
vocals
We recut
afterwards.
the lead vocal, and we added in like the Nashville guitar that you hear kind of at the end. And I wrote the synth part and added that day. So, some of it was created in the studio. But as far as the drama of the arrangement, that was kind of something Solange and I came up with together to have it start low, because Solange has this ability to sing. Solange has a massive range vocally. And so Solange, I don't know who had the idea, but for you to start the song
Probably you.
low, and then for the verse 3 to jump up a
Jump
whole
up, yeah.
octave.
Yeah.
Andrea likes to write really hard things for me to sing. So
That's how you get better,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a really interesting choice, is to kick it up an octave on the verse. Usually, I don't know, usually it's the chorus thing where you kick it up an octave or on a repeater or something like that. But okay, so what about the songwriting responsibilities? How does that split between the two of you?
Between the two of us, I write a lot. I was writing a new song earlier today. I finished like 5 songs in the last 2 weeks.
Nice.
I write a lot.
Wow.
We have a joke between us that Solange writes 1 banger a year. Which is true. Solange will literally write like 1 song a year, and it's always amazing. Like one of our most listened to songs is Married to the Ground, which is the song that Solange wrote. Our next single that comes out is La Da Da. Solange wrote that. So Solange will literally write 1 song a year, and it's just always so epic. And me, I write a lot. I mean, I try to be writing all the time. So I would say for Glitterfox, I probably write about like 80-90% of the songs.
yeah,
Wow.
90.
But Solange delivers that 1 single here. That's just a diamond.
So when you guys write songs, you write them individually, you bring them to each other. Is there any rejigging of anything at that point, or is you just trust that the other person's written the song and that's the way it goes and that's it?
We definitely do a lot more collaborating than we used to.
Mhm.
Sometimes I'm like, I will not sing those words. It just like, I don't know, like, and we'll just tweak them a little bit, or and I think with my vocal range, like I end up singing things a little bit different, or the cadence of the words will kind of change over like, performing them live, they'll kind of come into their own. But for the most part, Andrea's writing all the songs, and then we collaborate a little bit. And then also our bass player, Eric, he will kind of like, if we're ever stuck on a song, we'll go hang out with him. And then he just has like this tiniest idea that's just like opens it up and helps. Like he's a good closer. He's good at helping to close a song, So yeah.
Very cool.
I think there's a lot of people who think, people who are songwriters who think, oh, it'd be great to, have a partner who's another songwriter. But I can see that also being really dangerous, because, just because you're a great partner in life doesn't mean you're a great partner in songwriting. Is that something you had to kind of work out? I mean, I've always wanted to ask this. You're the only couple I know who actually does this, so I'm just asking you. Was this something you had to kind of work out, or was it just natural, or how does that work?
No. We had to work it out for sure. It used to be like where Andrea would want me to do a song exactly the way that it was written, and I'd have to convince him that I wasn't a robot. But then also like I think too, Andrea Andrea does write so much more than me. It's like Andrea has pretty much one hobby, which is just like music, songwriting. That's it.
That's
And
the only thing I do.
I have a lot of different hobbies. Like I make a lot of my costumes for the stage, and I like to edit videos and photography and all kinds of, graphic design, all different kinds of stuff. So my creative efforts get spread a little bit more thin. So not only is Andrea writing a lot more than me, but also like, because Andrea has more practice at it, and because Andrea is 9 years older than me, there's also that kind of like thing where like, for a while I was really shy about sharing my songs with Andrea, because I just felt like, oh, Andrea's so good at it, that it was hard for me. And so it's taken a lot for me to like start to come back into my own, as far as songwriting goes, and feeling comfortable sharing.
Yeah, it's always interesting to me, especially when if you're writing and you're not the person singing those lyrics, right? You're writing some lyrics and you, Solange, as the lead singer, like how much tension is there? Because like you say, sometimes you're not going to sing it with exactly that same cadence, or but the other question for me is that like the lyrics that Andrea writes, you have to understand fully what the intention is behind them, what they mean. If they're masked in metaphor, what does the metaphor signify? Does it have to sort of resonate with you emotionally in order for you to sing it well? Or can you sing whatever comes your way?
Well, I think that like a lot of, especially if a song's more ambiguous, like the listener will often put their own meaning to it, and they'll think it means a totally different thing than what you're actually saying. So I think that there is a little bit of that where I can take my own meaning from it. And I am a very emotional person as well. But, a lot of the topics that Andrea is writing about, I'm really close to, because we do everything together. We're in a band together. We live together. We're married. We go on vacation together. Like we're together so much that a lot of what Andrea is experiencing, I'm experiencing it as well, or I'm experiencing it secondhand, like through like feeling empathy for my partner's emotions,
Yeah, I can't imagine anyone in the world singing a song that I wrote aside from Solange. Like when you sing it, it feels like it's my own voice, singing the song, because we are so close. And so it just feels natural for me to write a song and you to sing it.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I feel a little bit like it sounds kind of cheesy, but with that old Greek mythology, how like people used to have 4 arms and 4 legs and 2 heads, and then they got like split up, and sometimes I feel like that with you, where it's like I'm your voice, you're my guitar player, like together we're one really, really cool person. Like I'm like the idea person, and I have like a lot of crazy ideas, but Andrea's the one that can actually execute the ideas.
Yeah. That's a good partnership. You need both of them, actually.
Yeah.
Because either one, you can have lots of great ideas, but if you don't execute, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's really amazing, especially when you have complementary skill sets, but emotional cores are compatible, and that's actually kind of a cool, very, very neat partnership. I'm actually curious about it. It's always over in that sense, because as much as I love this song and I love the build of it, and I love the way the chorus really pops out, I do find a little bit like I'm not really sure what it's about. Like there's some amazing imagery in there, especially in the first chorus. The fire in my head, wolves at my door. That really grabs you right off the top. It's like, okay, this is going to be heavy. It's going to be intense. Yeah. There's something going on here, right? And then the whole idea of sleeping all day, I don't hurt anyone. But then when you get to the chorus, there's a great melodic lift. It's always over before it begins. If I had it all, I would do it again. If I had it all, I would do it again. The word "it" occurs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 7 times in the chorus, and I'm like, what's it? Is the second "it" the same as the first "it"? Is the third "it" the same as the first and the first 2 "its"? What's it referring to? I'm trying to figure out what it was referring to, and I don't quite get it.
Yeah.
So.
The chorus is vague. And yeah, I guess just to start from the beginning, I wrote that song during a week. I wrote it actually almost a year ago. There was this very shady, very sketchy car business that was happening right outside of our window. We're on the second story, but like literally right in front, there was like stolen cars and then
Getting abandoned.
people abandoning cars, and then like people coming in the middle of the night and stealing parts off the cars, and then getting the catalytic convert. Like two mornings we woke up to like the sound of saws, and it was just like, and our cars parked right there in the middle of these two cars, and it's just like we didn't know what was going on. And so, and then there's people come in and we're like, what's going on? And people shining flashlights in our windows because we're watching them.
Snooping.
I mean, it was like, we were like, what is going on? So it was like this week that like, I wasn't sleeping. I went like 2 or 3 nights without like, without like really sleeping because of all the disturbances that were going on, and just like, you know, I had to call the cops and stuff like that. And so I was definitely like in this like very like fried. I was very frazzled. I was very fried. I wasn't sleeping. And I wrote that song like in the middle of the night. I wrote it at like 2 or 4 in the morning. And like, it was one of those songs that just like the whole song just kind of comes out complete, which doesn't always happen for me, but sometimes it does. And that whole song just came out pretty much complete in the middle of the night. And so when I said there's a fire in my head and there's wolves at the door, like wolves at the door, this idea that there's this shady stuff that's like just going on right outside my door. I feel very threatened, like, you know, and fire in my head. Like I have autism. I have a lot of anxiety. I have like a lot of cognitive things that I have to deal with. And also like my mind, like I'll tend to obsess on something. Like if something gets on my mind, like I'll obsess on it so hard to the point where like I'm not sleeping. And it was just kind of this like, I was feeling this battle of like, you know, I've got these battles that are happening in my own mind every day, but then also there's like these threats right outside my door. And so it's like a very odd song. I think one of my strengths, I am autistic, and I think one of my strengths is that I tend to take very different things and then put them together, almost like an ice cream flavor where they're like, this is pear and bacon. And you're like, what? And then it tastes really good. That's exactly what happened with this song. I took this topic of car theft and catalytic converter theft and the stuff that was happening, but then turn it into a love song for Solange, because it's like you go to verse 2 and it's like, you know, someone's stealing a car right outside the door, but if I had to walk, you know, that's what I'll do. Like if someone steals my car, like I'm going to keep walking, like I'm going to keep moving down this path together, like with you. And then the chorus, what's the it? The it, right. So the it is actually, okay. So then the chorus, it's like, it's always over before it begins. So I was reflecting on this Red Bull is giving me a panic attack. Sorry. Solange has like a Red Bull precariously like on the bed. And I'm like, if that spills, I'm going to be the one that's cleaning it. So I'm just like, stop doing that. It's just like on the comforter. So what's the it? Okay. So the it is if I had it all, okay. So here's the thing. Here's the love of my life. And so the thing is that it's always over before it begins. The choice to love each other, we're accepting the reality that one day we will be separated from each other. Any millions of things could happen. One of us could be killed in an accident. One of us could get Alzheimer's and forget the other one. You know what I'm saying? It's like any million of incredibly difficult experiences lays down the road for us. You know, and that's the reality of love. That's the reality of loving a person, or, you know, loving a person with your entire being, is that you accept that one day you'll be separated and you'll be irrevocably devastated. So it's like, it's always over before it begins. When we choose to love a person, it's like a contract. We're saying one day I'm not going to have you. But I accept that, and I still choose to love you every day. If I had it all, I would do it again. It's like, I wouldn't change anything, even though I know that this reality exists down the road. You know, the reality of the devastation of one day being separated, even though I know that's going to happen someday, I wouldn't change a thing. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it is an interesting choice. Like you say, you're intersecting two things together, you know, and having you explain it like that, the way I'm reading the song now is like, despite all the chaos that surrounds us, we're still together and we love each other, and that kind of thing. And you do hint, and you don't even hint at it. You say, you spill it out plain at the end. I want it all just to do it again. I want it all, as opposed to if I had it all, and just to love you again. Right. So there is a sense that this might be a love song, but it is an interesting choice to sort of make it open. I mean, aside from the line, someone stealing a car outside the door, because of all the other imagery, I mean, is that a metaphor too? I don't know.
No, that was really
well, that's what I mean. Like, what, then begin, as a listener, you begin to question, what parts can I take literally and what parts are images and what parts I don't know. It's just,
and I think too that, like, with Andrea and I, there is this, like, I mean, we joke around that, like, you have to have the word fire, and it has to be talking about, like, driving at some point for it to be
Yeah, because I am autistic, and so it's like the things I like, I'm like really into, and it's like,
how many songs have the word fire?
Every one of them. Every one of them. I just hit on certain things that I just love, and then that's like the thing. And my bandmates, they all tease me about it. They'll be like, "Oh, this is the thing. It's like the only thing." But
no. But what I was saying is that, like, the whole, like, driving theme, like the driving theme is in a lot of our songs, because we love being on the road. We love traveling and getting to play music, but also we used to live in a car for 2 years. We lived in our conversion van. So, like, driving is kind of like, also feels like, to me, like, driving in the highway feels like a metaphor for, like, our relationship in general. So I could see how, like, your brain would tie those two things together. I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I love writing. I just love to me, the highway is like this very romantic thing. Like the idea of, like, just, using metaphors from driving, like car metaphors, anything from, like, driving and, like, midnight and, like, neon and, like, pulling up in a city and it's all dark, but you see all the lights, like that kind of imagery really gives me a feeling, that I can put into the songs.
I wonder if that is a specifically American tendency. Thinking about, like a Springsteen, and they're always talking about cars. And thinking about Canadian songwriters, I'm sure we talk about the road, but Canada is such a different kind of country. I mean, there's a whole bunch of nothing between all our cities. But there's like 2 kilometers
very far apart.
Yeah, I think there's 2 kilometers square for every person in Canada, maybe even more at this point. So so the roads are different, whereas America does seem to have a lot of driving imagery in its songs. It'd be an interesting thing to look into. I want to ask about now, do you approach songwriting in the same ways? Are you both like lyrics first or melody first writers, or?
People always ask that, and I never know how to answer it. Like, basically, well, in the way that I write songs is changing a little bit right now.
Because you've been playing on GarageBand.
Yeah. But typically I would just kind of, like, get my guitar and just kind of, strum a little bit. And I would just look for basically what I'm looking for is, like, a little germ of an idea that can expand, or something I can kind of follow and be like, like, where's that little, like, it might be like a melody, and then the melody will be like, and find a couple words that kind of fit it. But yeah, basically I would just sit on my guitar and just kind of strum and look for, like, a groove that feels kind of cool. And so typically that's how I write. So it wouldn't necessarily be like music.
Well, music first.
They will
that is a music first, because people who do lyrics first, they actually write out all the lyrics and actually use the lyrics to find the melody very often, which I've never been able to do.
I feel like you've only done that once.
Isn't that bizarre? Yeah, I've never done that.
I did that like 10 years ago. Like, I've only done that one time with just like a a poem, that I
Yeah.
wrote, but that was a long time. That was 10 or 12 years ago.
Yeah.
So
For me, I also just kind of will sit there and strum, and then sometimes I'll sing random words, just like whatever comes to my head. And then I'll be like, oh, it actually kind of sounds like I said this. And then I'll kind of take off on that idea. That's what happened with Married to the Ground too. When I first was singing it, I was saying I'm buried to the ground. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. And then I was like, well, I guess I could be married to the ground. So, which still doesn't make that much sense, but it makes sense to me.
Well, it's a lot nicer than buried in the ground, which is a very different kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. I mean, I used to be music first all the time. I was a musician way before I was a songwriter with lyrics. Nowadays I tend to write lyrics first because, like Phil says, I can attach a melody to it, and attaching music to that is easy. So I do the hard part first, which is the lyrics.
Yeah, I think the lyrics is hard too. Yeah, for me, that's definitely the part that comes slower. Like I feel like I've been writing a lot of like guitar riffs lately, and I feel like I can write guitar or music. I feel like I can just do that all day, like all the time. But the lyrics, that's when I gotta like roll up my sleeves and like sweat and like obsess over. Sometimes I'll obsess over a word for like 3 days, just trying to find a better one.
Well, that's what I find about It's Always Over. The riff in the verse is very intriguing from a rhythmic standpoint. It's like ba-dum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum. It's like a 1 2 3 4 1 2 kind of feel. But it's all it's all sort of in 4/4 if you count it out. But then the emphasis sometimes the 3 feels like a 1. If you know what I mean. Like I'm a drummer at heart, so I'm always sitting there counting everything. And it's I don't know. But the nice thing is the way the melody phrases, it falls into that as well. It's all very structured, so you don't really notice that the emphasis is shifting. But I just find that fascinating and kind of really cool and intriguing.
Yeah, my brain always does that. Like, pretty much, I would say most of what I write really ends up being in 4/4, but with like eighth note subdivisions that actually group it like outside of 4/4. So it'll be like 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2, like that kind of stuff. It'll my brain will tend to group the eighth notes in triplets in some kind of way. And a lot of anticipations. I love when, the next, I love pushes, that kind of stuff. Just little subtle rhythmic things that to me make a track feel a bit more interesting and more alive.
Are you, what are you doing to sort of teach yourself, expand your own songwriting palette? Do you sort of, co-write with anyone, or is it,
co-write personally because what I write is so personal. Every song I write is like a page out of like I journal every single day. I journal for a good amount of time. Every single morning I journal. And so my songs are always so personal about something that I'm experiencing right then. Or in the case of Drive, which is a single we put out this year, it was actually me reflecting on an experience I had when I was young. But they're just so personal. So like for me, the idea of co-writing is so bizarre because I'm like, no, this is my experience. Like, how are you going to give me words for how I feel? And it's like, for me, songwriting is actually a way that I process emotions and it process the experiences in my life.
I once had it suggested to me because I did write a song a couple of years ago that was like really personal and emotionally heavy and all that sort of stuff. And I was struggling with the lyric, and someone suggested to me, well, why don't you do a co-write with it? Even though it's very personal to me, you get someone else's view on that situation, and maybe they bring a slightly different perspective to it. They can empathize, of course, right? But then I don't know. I actually didn't try it at the time, but it's always sort of stuck in my mind as if, especially if you're stuck. If you're feeling stuck, then I don't know, it's not a bad idea to reach out to a friend and say, hey, take a look at this with me and give me some ideas, you know?
Oh yeah, I think every songwriter agrees that feeling stuck is the worst feeling in the world. So it's like whatever you got to do to get through it. And there was times our bass player Eric is a great songwriter and a great friend and great bandmate. And it's like there was times like on a song Built to Break where I was like, oh, I'm not like there's been times like Built to Break or Highway Forever. There's been certain songs where I've come to Solange or I've come to Solange and Eric, or I've come to Eric and I've been like, I've got like 90% of this song written, but I need a bridge. I need like some chords for a bridge. And so there's definitely been times that I've, you know, they're great, you know, and have always helped me when I've been like, I'm stuck. Can you help me get this across the finish line? And so that's been amazing to have them to work with too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Excellent. It's a great way to do it. That's the nice thing about working in a band. I'm in a band too, and sometimes it's just like, here's a chorus here. You guys write the rest of it.
Yeah. In general, though, for me, it's like songwriting is so personal, and I use it as a tool to process what I'm experiencing in life. And so, in general, I tend to just like really dive in and really try to like capture the intensity of the feeling, you know, in the song. And in general, I write solitary most of the time, and you do too. You know, we don't really collaborate on songs. Like you'll just
feel like the end. You know?
Right. You'll just come to me and be like, "Here's the whole song." Yeah. But then it's fun to come together. Then, you know, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's what I really like about the song. I mean, even though it's deeply personal to you, that it's open enough that anyone can read their own story into it, which is great.
I like that. I feel like with songwriting, there's for me, part of the art, I think, is to use images and words that are clear enough and specific enough and dramatic enough to like evoke a feeling, but you also want the song to be open. So it's relatable. You know, it's like that's what I like. I like a song where it's like elements are dramatic and they evoke a very strong emotional response, but also you don't really know what it's about. So then everyone can have their own feeling experience with the song.
That is the way to do it. And, you know, and a lot of people don't have a lot of hate on Bono, but I mean, he's great at being able to do that, to write these images that other people can just read themselves into, but they're still specific. They're not just total nonsense. You know, like I really like Oasis, but I have no idea what their songs are about. I have no idea what a champagne supernova in the sky, clouds, I guess. I don't know. But, you know, like that goes like to the point where it's so abstract. I kind of wonder if it means anything to anyone. So it's a very delicate balance to be specific, because you want it to be specific, because you don't want it to be nonsense, but you don't want to be so specific, because sometimes people write stuff that's so specific it's almost kind of embarrassing, you know, where it's just too on the nose. A very hard line to walk. For sure it is.
Yeah, I feel like that's the space that when I approach a song and I approach lyrics, that's where I'm trying to live. I'm trying to live in, like, you know, what kind of word, like all the elements of the music, how can I maximize like the emotional feeling of this song, but still leave it open enough that it's relatable. And yeah, when there's a song and it just kind of, I mean, but granted, I mean, it also just depends on what you're into. I have friends that are very into like narrative songs that just the verses, the chord, they tell you exactly what the song is. I have friends that are very into that, and that's wonderful. There's a lot of people who do that so expertly, but I tend to just write in the vein of like, what do I like to listen to? I like to listen to new wave. So that's where a lot of my songwriting inspiration comes from these days.
That's cool.
Oh, now hold on. Now, this may be kind of depressing. When you say new wave, what do you mean?
Well,
Phil's talking about the old wave, new wave.
Well, I mean, like Depeche Mode and like
Okay.
Cure and
Oh, yeah,
New
all right.
Order and Duran Duran and like that whole
Yeah.
genre, The Cure, like that's
Oh,
like
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
that's the that I'll tell you again, and I said I'm very like that's the thing. That's honestly the only music I can physically listen to is new wave. I'm not kidding. Like anything else, like it's not like I'll flip out, but like anything else, I'm just like, nah. But put on new wave and I come alive.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that's that's the only music I'll listen to.
Well, I mean, what a great line, what is it? I love to see your shoes and your spirit rise. It's just this bizarre, again, combination of two very odd images he put together, but you understand what it means. I'm a huge fan. Although I don't like seeing my rock and roll heroes get old. It's kind of depressing,
Happens to us all if we're fortunate.
Well, that's true.
They had a good hit. Depeche Mode just dropped a new album, didn't they? Or new something.
Yeah.
New album.
Oh, cool.
It's not bad. It sounds like old Depeche Mode.
Nice. Yeah. Heck yeah. I got to listen to that.
And the Tears for Fears album that they just released after 17 years, fantastic.
Yeah.
Never been fooled by a Tears for Fears album as much as that one. Really, really good. Do they count as new wave? Maybe.
I think they are in that genre.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Sure.
Coming back after 17 years can be dangerous because sometimes I hope people who do it and it's not successful that they go, well, maybe we won't release this one.
Yeah.
Because it's a tough thing to do, You're a different person after 17 years.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I would imagine that would be intimidating. Like that's something I'm always grateful about our band is like we're still kind of pretty relatively like undiscovered, and so there's no pressure. I always think about it. I'm like, you know what? Like I feel like our best years are still ahead of us, and I feel like our success is still ahead of us, and so in a sense, there's no real pressure, like we can just write and we can create and we can just explore and we can have fun. Like I always feel like that would be hard for someone who maybe like makes it big, like in their 20s or something, or if you have like your biggest hit when you're young and then always trying to figure out how to recapture that glory, or to like, how do you top your best work if you did your most critically and widely acclaimed work when you're in your mid 20s? Like, wow, that would, living in your own shadow, that would be tough. So I like where we are as pretty undiscovered.
Yeah.
It's a great place to be because the whole, like you guys say in your thing, the sky's the limit, right?
That's true.
everything's wide open.
But so many people after they come on Song Talk Radio wind up being discovered. So, no guarantees, but you never know.
No promises, but just don't forget us when you
That's true.
accept your Grammy.
That's true.
You
will,
Song Talk Radio.
Yeah.
We're breaking up.
Okay. And I'm hearing the bands. I think that is all the time we have on Song Talk Radio. Special thanks to Glitterfox. Where can our listeners hear more of your music?
We're on Spotify, Apple Music,
All the things.
all streaming platforms.
All the
It's
things.
Glitterfox, just one word. And then find us on social media at Glitterfox Band.
Alrighty, and we'll link to that stuff on our show post on songtalk.ca. And we want to hear from you, people. So send your comments on Facebook or Instagram to @SongTalkRadio, or send us an email, feedback@songtalk.ca. Also, be sure to check out our YouTube channel for live performance videos and full episodes, and subscribe today to the Song Talk Radio podcast on your favorite podcast provider. You can find links to all the products, books, and web services we mentioned on Song Talk Radio on our resources page on the website. And please join us at our next monthly Song Talk meetup, whether you're in Toronto for our in-person meetups or anywhere in the world for our online meetups. It's free to join on meetup.com and free to attend. Please bring a song and a lyric sheet and get constructive feedback from other songwriters. Stop by songtalk.ca for the link. You can follow me at neilmodi.com. You can follow Phil
at philemery.ca.
And Glitterfox. What's your favorite social media channel? Where do you guys go the most?
Probably Instagram, at Glitterfox Band.
Cool. Glitterfox Band and Instagram. Be sure to stop by the website, songtalk.ca, to browse past shows and find out how you can be a guest Thanks for tuning in, everyone. This is our final show of 2023. So happy holidays, everybody. And we'll see you again in 2024.
We'll see you next year.
Keep on writing.
Keep on writing. Good night, everyone. We're out. That was great stuff, man.
Awesome. Great stuff, you guys.
Absolutely great stuff.
Yay. That was fun. This is the first interview we've gone to talk about songwriting, and that's my favorite topic in the universe.
Yeah.
So I could have
cool.
talked all day.
Yeah.
I'm excited that two songwriters can actually wind up partnered and it works. I've always wondered, I always thought, maybe that wouldn't work, you know?
Yeah, and we've been together for 11 years, and we started musically. You know, it's like we basically started hanging out at an open mic, and then started dating and started playing together as a duo. And so the relationship and the band have always been completely intertwined. And there's been a lot that's had to happen over years, you know, for us to be successful. It's like, you know, we do couples therapy, like we both do individual therapy, like we're both sober. It's like there's been a lot that's evolved over the years to help us make it work. Cause like Solange wasn't kidding. Like in the beginning, I'd be like, no, you gotta sing this melody exactly like this. You know, it's like we've mellowed with time.
We have mellowed.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, 7 years, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing. Good for you guys.
Yeah.
So it's exciting. I'm real excited about the show. The interview was really fun. Y'all were both really fun to talk to.
Cool. Thank you. We appreciate that.
Yeah, well, it's a great tune.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's an amazing song. It's great stuff. Be following you guys on the socials for sure. Yeah, we do get a lot of that. We hear that from our guests. Is that this is the one time they get to nerd out about songwriting, whereas everywhere else it's like, I don't even know what they talk about in other shows.
I talked about puppets on one.
Puppets, yeah.
I do make puppets, so.
Cool.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
What kind of puppets?
Talk about your breakups and your drug addictions and
Yeah. This was fun. I'm excited. We can share this interview like on our socials and stuff. I'll be excited.
That'd be awesome.
Point people this way and be like, hey, we're talking about how we write songs. Like, go check it out, because this is my favorite topic.
Yeah,
cool.
Sometimes when we do interviews, I feel like we're just talking about the same thing over and over again. You know?
It's like, we lived in a van. Like, you know, but it is fun. I'm just excited to talk to anybody. You know, I love our music and stuff. But this specifically was really satisfying and exciting and fun.
So we always thought that if we do our job right, that if you're not a songwriter, you'd find the show really boring.
Yeah.
You know, because it's just for other people, songwriters who care. Wow, they went to the 5. That's really cool. You know, they didn't go to the 5. They went to the 2. You know, that's more interesting.
They went to the 5. How conventional.
Always with the 1, then the 5, then the 1.
Yeah. That's awesome. You send it out to all your peeps in Portland and beyond. And we'd love to have your friends and everybody else you work with.
Other bands that you hear.
Talk to the Decemberists. I'd love to have them on. I love the Decemberists.
Chris Funk is our producer. He's the guitar player, so he's our producer and he's also our manager. He started managing us this year. He was in management before the Decemberists took off, and then when the Decemberists were getting bigger, he kind of had 2 paths and, you know, ended up going that one. But now he's getting back into management. And so he's been incredible. Yeah, he's helped us so much this year. We met him at a show 1 year ago. And now he's amazing.
Us out a lot.
Awesome.
Yeah. Sure. And the Decemberists are from Portland as well, right? They're not Seattle, they're Portland.
Yeah. And he played, actually he's on It's Always Over a little bit. He's playing like a very fuzzed out guitar with an ebow. Like you'll hear this like harmonic distortion. That's actually him with an ebow on like a mega fuzzed out guitar.
Ebos are so cool.
That's him. And Jenny Conley from the Decemberists, she has played on a few of our singles that we just recorded too.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. Been fun getting to know them better. They're just the nicest people. And then Peter Buck from REM actually played on a single we just recorded.
Wow.
So that was
pretty cool.
I cried.
I did cry.
Yeah.
Because REM is like probably they might be my favorite band like of all time.
Wow.
I'm obsessed. I love REM. So yeah, when Peter Buck came and played on a song, I just like lost it.
Wow. Fangirl.
Yeah.
Although, you know, having someone like that can be tough because they can be very intimidating. And, you know, it's like I work with Nick Blagona, who, you know, mixed the Police. And, you know, his first assistant engineering job as a kid was Nights in White Satin.
Whoa.
Yeah. And, you know, he did all the Chicago albums, and which apparently he didn't remember. Anyways, he was, he's since passed away. But, you know, he sort of wanted to do things and wasn't quite our vision. But, like, you have someone like that who's doing the mixing and the production. And then it's going like, well, I don't know anything, so I guess okay. But it's, you know, it's tough. It was a great experience, but it can be tough sometimes. You know.
Yeah.
He was real sweet. He was just happy to get out of the house.
He was
just kind of like chilling at home.
He was the chillest of the
He was just like, yeah, thanks for getting me out of the house today.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
He was really sweet.
And thankfully for us, like working with Funk, it's like as our producer, you know, he really pushes us in the studio. I will say, like, there was this one single we just recorded, and I mean, he almost broke my brain. He could be Highway Forever because he had me play every guitar part, just basically make it up right there on the spot. And I'm like, dude, I've been playing the song this way for like a whole year. But the thing is that there's a lot of trust. There's a lot of like,
it has to be,
yeah, there's a lot of love and there's a lot of trust. So it was like, we did it. And I'm so happy. Like I love how it turned out, you know.
Does that change the way you play it live?
A little bit. Yeah, it's starting to. Yeah. Some of the stuff, like some of it I can't do because it's just like there's like modular synth and there's like all this different stuff happening. But finding ways to like take parts of what we did in the studio and start to integrate it into the song slowly over time has been fun. Yeah. Yeah, I feel he pushes us. He really does.
He does.
Wow.
But in the best.
Yeah, and then that's what makes a good producer really is pulling the stuff out of the artist that they didn't even know they had.
Yeah. I definitely feel that way when we work with them.
Awesome. That's so cool.
So this show will go up probably in a couple of weeks.
Okay,
we're
cool.
a little bit behind. But we will send you an email when it comes out. And if you could share it on your socials and all that stuff, that would be fantastic.
That sounds great.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll be real excited to do that.
Awesome.
Do you post on YouTube? It gets posted on YouTube as well, right?
This will be the podcast will come out first, and then a little while later the YouTube will come out.
Okay, awesome. Because I could actually add that to our YouTube page too, just to be like, hey,
fantastic.
Yeah, because
can you link them or something?
Yeah, because you can take other people's YouTube videos and feature it. I see, on your own YouTube page.
Okay.
So
for sure. Cool.
Hey, are you curious about how we write songs? Like, watch this. Nice.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right.
Cool stuff. All right. Well, great to meet you guys, and thanks for coming on the show. And
thanks so much
with everything.
So nice to meet both of y'all. I hope y'all have a good rest of your day and happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Yes, have a great holiday season.
Yep.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Holiday cheers.
Holiday cheers.
Holiday cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.